ونسكي ومحياي ومماتي لله رب العالمين لا شريك له وبذلك أمرت وأنا أول مسلمين أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد يا عباد الله السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. With the name of Allah, the beneficent benefactor, the beneficent redeemer. Say my prayers, my service of sacrifice, my life and my death all belong to Allah, Lord of all the worlds. No partner has he, this I am commanded, and I am the first of those to submit to his will. I bear witness openly without any hesitation or reservation or embarrassment that there's nothing whatsoever worthy of worship but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I bear witness openly without any hesitation, reservation, embarrassment that Prophet Muhammad of 14 centuries ago is a slave servant and messenger. Dear beloved Muslims, we want to start by reading Al-Quran. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يسابح لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض الملك القدوس عزيز الحكيم هو الذي بعث في الأميين رسولا منهم يتلو عليهم آياته ويزكيهم ويعلم الكتاب وحكمة وإن كانوا من قبل لا في ضلال مبين. صدق الله العظيم. And this is taken from chapter Al-Jumu'ah, Surah Al-Jumu'ah. And it says that whatever is in the heavens and the earth does declare the praises and glory of Allah. Allah is the sovereign. Allah is the holy. Allah is the exalted in might, the wise. It is He who has sent among the unlettered a messenger from among themselves to rehearse to them His signs and to sanctify them and to instruct them in the scripture and wisdom, although they had been before in manifest error. Dalalin mubin, clear and manifest error. Dear beloved Muslims, it is Almighty God who is sovereign. No one shares in the sovereignty. And we start off as Muslims always with glorifying Allah. You know, a few days ago, a sister said, well, let's give a brother a takbir. We have to understand why we do the things. You don't give a person a takbir. It's Allah. We glorify Allah, so we won't lose our balance. We can lose our balance when we do something that's maybe you feel is skillful or excellent. This is the time we can lose our balance. So we deflect the praise that's hurled at us, these unwarranted accolades that's hurled at us, and we deflect it. We say, Alhamdulillah. That keeps us from being unbalanced. So when we say Allah is the sovereign, no one shares with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in His rule. Allah is sovereign. Allah is the mighty. You might feel you mighty. You know, some of these brothers, they walk in, they want to the spiritual gene, you know. My physical presence is supposed to make everybody look at me. You know, but when we reflect on the attributes of Allah, they keep us balanced, duly proportioned. So it is Allah who is the mighty, the wise. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent among the unlettered a messenger to instruct the people of the signs of Allah, the ayats. It says, يَتْلُو عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتِهِ, to instruct the people of Allah's ayats, his signs. And ayat is a sign of God, a degree of knowledge. And to purify them, yuzakihim, so the people can come into an ethical existence, an ethical life. This is what the message should do. It's designed to purify the unlettered. And Prophet Muhammad is the last of a long list of messengers. And when we mention Prophet Muhammad's name, we say, alayhi salatu wasalam. May Allah, may the prayers and the peace of Allah be upon Prophet Muhammad. We mention Jesus. We say, alayhi salam. May God forever be pleased with Jesus, Isa, Moses, Musa, all of the messengers of God. So this is out of dignity and respect for the messengers of God. We respect them by saying these terms, alayhi salatu wassalam. Radiyallahu anha, radiyallahu anhu. These expressions out of respect for even mentioning their names. So it is Almighty God who has created this creation, this lovely, marvelous, wonderful creation, as a sign and a symbol, an ayat, to put something on our minds. Everything Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created, it is a sign. And this is the messenger who came among the unlettered to teach the people the signs of Almighty God. So we look out in the darkness, we look out in the bright daylight, we see signs of Allah. Everything. They plan and Allah plans, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, highly glorified is He, is the best plan. So we look out at the sun, we look out at the moon, we look out at the stars and the heavenly bodies, and that's why they call them heavenly bodies, because they weren't crashing into one another. They were all in their own orbit, moving so peacefully and harmoniously at thousands of miles an hour, a second, moving, millions and millions of miles away. And they say you can look out and see a flicker of a star, and that happened thousands of years ago. But the light is just reaching us now. Well, man has become sophisticated now. Now he can make these sort of deductions. But there was a time when man wasn't that smart. But these are signs of Allah. So Allah has created the creation for us to reflect on and learn something. These are symbols. These are signs. These are degrees of knowledge. We look at the sun, and it's a beautiful chapter in the Quran. Al-Shamsi wa duhaha wal-qamari idha talaha. Beautiful. Allah wants us to reflect on the symbols in the heavens. The zodiac signs, the moon, the stars. What can we learn from that? This is what it should be. What can we learn from this? And Allah has sent a messenger. We look out at the sun, the big body of sun, and it's fire. And we know fire can be very harmful. But the sun is harnessed fire. It's disciplined fire. And the sun without the sun, and the sun is going on a chart that's computed. Some people set the time by the sun. In fact, they say the first clock, they call it what, Cleopatra's needle. The first clock was the sun. And you put a rod up to there, and then the sun, and then you see the move. And this is where the clock was fashioned. And now they measure time, I think, by atomic resonators because of its repeatability. Because you can't really measure time. When you look at all the mathematical calculation, only man can do is make an approximation. So they make approximations with atomic resonators. Cesium-33 or something like that. But anyway, look. These are signs. So the sun can give us warmth. It can give us brightness. But Allah doesn't want us in the dark. Allah wants us to see, vision. But if you look up at the sun without any glasses, you're going to hurt yourself. You're going to blind yourself. Or if the sun would move too close, everything would burn up. Move too far away, it would freeze. These are signs that we should reflect on. Everything that Allah has created with a knowledge base. So the sun was so fantastic that many people began to worship the sun. S-U-N. They began to worship the sun. Then they put faces, put faces on the sun and the moon. These are bodies. And then in the dark, the moon follows the sun and reflects the light of the sun. And all these symbols are signs. But man began to worship these bodies in the heavens. That's why the Muslim, he never prays when the sun is at its zenith. Because there are pagans and primitive-minded folks who pray to the sun. So we don't make our salat when the sun is at its zenith. We should understand. Allah has perfected this religion. Allah has perfected this religion for us. Can't add to it, take away from it. So these are signs. We see the land, we see the earth, we see the fire, the water. These are signs, these are ayats of Allah to learn from. So we should be human beings that look at the disciplined fire in the heavens. We should want to be disciplined. And this is what we want to talk about in the brief moments we have before you, is the discipline. That disciplined fire in the sky is discipline. We want to become disciplined by this. We want to serve the vision. We want to serve growth. We want to serve life. So we want to, Allah has created these bodies to expand our minds and to make our appetites and our vision grow. This is why Allah has created the various signs. And it says in this book, this Quran, that this book is a muqimmat, a basic, and it's a muqtashabah. And a muqtashabah is a figurative, allegorical language. It doesn't say allegory and figurative language is bad. It says that if your mind, if your heart, you have perversity, you're looking for that, you're trying to steal the hearing, a flaming sword will snap out on you. Don't think you're going to get no heavy understanding and you don't have any faith. A flaming sword will say, boom, jump out on you. You don't have any faith. You're trying to steal the hearing. Allah only blesses whom He chooses. So, this appetite, we want to speak out, dear Muslims, about the disciplined appetite. And the word hawa is the appetite of the individual. And the hawa and the hawa is the mate of Adam. The mate. Now there are people that's not grounded scripturally. They interpret that Hawa as being the evil on the planet. They put it on that woman. They say that woman, she destabilized that man. And they developed a whole theology on putting the evil on the woman. Don't think Muslims are free of the confusion. Oh, Muslims have been locked up, and we can just see out in the society the abuses of wives, the abuses of husbands, the abuses of children, the abuse of yourself as a result of confusing the message of Almighty God. So we find this Hawa, the appetite of the individual. Almighty God says in the Quran, Inna kathirin la yudiluna bi ahwaihim bighayri ilm. Inna rabbika a'lamu bil mu'tadin. That there are those who would mislead mankind with appetites, unchecked by knowledge. But it's Almighty God who knows who are the transgressors. Don't think you can hide from Allah. We cannot hide from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, when the appetites become disciplined, and we know we can't hide from Allah, then we can begin to become purified. Now, this purification doesn't mean that you're walking on the outskirts of human existence, that you're something unhuman, unreal. You know, the Catholics, and I'm not picking on the Catholics, the Catholics have a situation where the priests use woman to justify priesthood. I'll make a declaration, I'm not going to have a woman. And to justify that was the uncleanness of the woman. So all the imagery is that unclean woman. This is people not grounded in Scripture. They confuse the Hawa, the appetites, the environment with the Hawa, the mate of Adam. And Almighty God says in the Quran, وَعَلَمَ أَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا, that he taught Adam all the names, but he slipped. فَزَادَهُمَا الشَّيْطَانُ. Adam was seduced out of his nature, and he slipped. But he came into a contact with the Word of Almighty God, and Allah forgave him. So this idea of inheriting sin and all these old socially retarded ideas, you could wonder why so much confusion and hell in the world. The appetites. And appetites doesn't just mean we're just about to enter Ramadan. But Ramadan doesn't mean just because you're looking for an opportunity to clean your flesh or do without food. There are many people that just don't like to eat. Ramadan is not just to do without food or do without water and this and that and the other. Your appetite means those things that make you feel good. That's your appetite. If a person knows what your appetite is, they can use you. They can manipulate you. They find out what you're weak for. Oh, he has an appetite for this. He likes this. Or she has an appetite for that. They can control you. Look at they sell everything with a woman now. Put a woman, put a red dress on her, and they'll sell that product with that woman. Take off her clothes, make her look real seductive. And this is the product that they're trying to sell. They use that every day. They find out what your appetites are. So, Ramadan is to discipline the appetite. What is your appetite? What makes you feel comfortable? What makes you feel complete? Allah said that there would be many who will mislead mankind with appetites unchecked by knowledge. So we find that Shaitan enters the human being through the spirit. He don't come at you through your intellectual capacity. People don't act the fool just by themselves. They need company to act the fool. When the society goes crazy, when the people are corrupted, the society, the overwhelming influence of the society. This is how they come at the human being. Confuse your spirit. Because, and how could that be corroborated? We find doctors and lawyers, they're off on dope and crack and everything. These are knowledgeable people dealing with chemicals. Chemists, the chemists dealing with, know the properties of chemicals and the reactions and the results and everything. And he's off on to this. Why is this? Because the spirit is corrupted. When the spirit is corrupted, you don't use your rational mind to check it. You have a desire, you have an act why, but you're not using your knowledge to check it. You can't use your knowledge and your rationality to check something that your intellect say, I know this is destructive, I know this would kill me because I see it killing everybody around me. I see all this death and destruction all around me. So they come at you through your spirit. And once you accept it, you're easy pickings for everybody. I don't care what you know. You Muslim, you Jew, you Buddhist, whatever you are. If you can't use your knowledge to check the filth, we're all going to be overwhelmed. And this Quran is the Kalam law. It is for all times. So this message is speaking to the Christian. This message is speaking to the Jew. This message is speaking to the person that really hasn't even decided what their persuasion is. If you can't use your knowledge to check corruption, you're in hell. And this is what happens. We see what's destructive right before us, and we march headlong into destruction. Because the appetite. And a wise Islamic scholar, whom I have a tremendous amount of respect for, because he follows Allah and he follows the Sunnah of Prophet Muhammad, and that's Imam Warshi Muhammad. He says that the worst thing you can have is an appetite, a big appetite, and a little mind. Woo! A big appetite and a little mind. This is what my leader, who follows the Sunnah of Prophet Muhammad, who follows Allah, has said. And especially if you're in business. And if you're in business and you can't control your sexual appetite, you can't discipline your sexual appetite, you can lose your whole business, you can lose your health, your life, everything. If you can't discipline your appetite. So we as Muslims, we want to serve our appetite. Now, look how many families are decimated because some of these small-minded people got these big appetites. The wife said, baby, you've been working at Chrysler for 30 years. We need this $50,000 vehicle. But the house ain't even paid for. No food in the refrigerator, no kind of insurance, no kind of anything. But we got to have it. If we don't have it, I'm leaving you. How many families have been broken up because of not being able to discipline their appetite? It's not that you shouldn't have these nice things. But there are those that have small minds, but they got a big appetite. I gotta have it. I ain't no poor person. I'm way up here. And look, our areas. We have to want to not only just feed the appetite, because see, if you don't have an appetite, you'll never want to go into business. It takes an appetite to want to go into business. It takes an appetite to want nice things. We're not saying you shouldn't have an appetite. But don't just feed the appetite. Learn how to employ the appetite. See, the one person that just feeds the appetite, he goes out as a consumer. And he just buys things and lowers himself down with things, thinking that this is going to give me more dignity. So he feeds his appetite. He doesn't employ it. See, when you employ your appetite, you invest in it. You move around resources. You move around knowledge and resources. You bring back a dividend. You bring back and create money. You create worth. But you don't just feed it as a consumer, just know and this gives me dignity. You come in down the slum with the same old silly habits. You load up with a robe and alhamdulillah, you even change your voice. I know some that born that knew him yesterday. Wallahi, my brother, wallahi. Oh, he's so holy now. So he's got an appetite, and this appetite is somehow make him or her feel like a human now. I'm a human now. I look just like a woman in Saudi Arabia. So the woman, she dresses just like she started putting mascara on, just like this tribe over here that she's holy. Or the brother, the same thing. Wallahi. Oh, alhamdulillah. So holy now. I have to distinguish myself from those other people now. I'm a Muslim now. Wallahi. And then you find some, because they're the type to just feed, and they disappear for 5 to 6 years, you see them again. Before he left, he was saying it properly, Assalamu alaikum, Assalamu alaikum. Now he, Salaikum salam, brother, Salaikum salam. He hang it out now, he got out of say the greetings now. Hey, Salaikum salam, brother. But he means well. But what happens is we're in a situation where we go with this feeling of inferiority. Where we have to be another ethnic group. We have to be another person feeding the appetite. Not wanting to employ the appetite. To employ the appetite, you begin to get together, get your resources together, and take advantage of the environment. It speaks loud to what you want. These are people that employ their appetite. We want to employ appetite to move resources. Dignified, become dignified. This is what Al-Islam does. It's proven itself historically, and it continues to prove itself. When the farmer wants to plant, in fact, in that the Shabbat, a beautiful Shabbat in Quran, it refers to the woman as your tilth, earth. That's a way of saying that the woman, that you should have a relationship with this earth, with this external world, like you do with a woman you're attracted to. You should have a relationship, a contractual agreement with this earth. Want your piece of it, just like a woman you're attracted to. And the wise farmer, when he harvests or deal with the seeds, he looks at the seeds. The seeds, he can make a pot of soup off the seeds. They have some nutritional value. He can make a pot of bean soup or a pot of corn or something off these seeds. But he also knows if he plant these seeds in the ground and work with that sweat equity and work with that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would bring him many-fold of what he has planted. But he has to work. The farmer knows that he has to get up on time. Get up early in the morning. Work with the seeds that he has planted. Get the weeds out the way. And do this and do that because he knows a yield. He's prepared for the future. He's employing his appetite for the future. He's planning in such a way and planning for the future. This is what a person do with their children. When a husband and wife see their children, many of us would love to see our sons and daughters inherit our concerns. Stand up and understand that there's nothing worthy of worship but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and not be hung up. Many of our children hung up on dope. Many of our children at home having baby after baby talking about, Daddy, I didn't know I was going to cause you all this liability. I was just having fun. Look, we should understand that this religion should bring about a revolution. So we would love to see our sons and our daughters inherit our concern. Standing up and saying, La ilaha illallah, go to school and learn the various things in higher education, and take that education to a community and use that education to bring about the fruition of your concerns, your sensitivities. There are people that's doing that right in the inner city. They're building new grocery stores, and they got the little sons and daughters right behind the cash registers, and they're ringing up this just out of college or in college, and they're working and they're using all of their resources to bring about what they want. And here we want to sit down and profile and all this stuff, and we got nothing. Now that's why I'm saying we should want something for ourselves. We should want some blessings for ourselves, and that comes with the discipline of the appetite. And it says that if you discipline your appetite, Almighty God will bless you. That's right. It says that the woman is a covering for you. She is your libasa. That when she covers you and she only has sex with you, that's a protection for her sexual appetite. And when you only have sex with that wife, that means that she is a protection for your sexual appetite. When we find that we violate the principles of Almighty God, we find that we suffer. And we're continuing to suffer. We send our children to college and we spend all kind of money. You pay for their house note, you pay for their car, you pay for this and that and the other, and they stumbling around there trying to get high and this and that and the other. You should see it. And that comes from the discipline of the appetite. And Almighty God has blessed this community of Muslims. Has blessed this community of Muslims with the Quran. And this religion is designed to discipline the appetite. When the Muslim wakes up in the morning, sure, he wants to stay in bed close to his wife or husband. But the Quran, the call, is calling you to something. It's not calling you to this person. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. It's not calling you to Farrakhan. It's not calling you to Sheikh Shooter Booty or Brother So-and-so. No! It's calling you to Allah. Allahu Akbar. God is greater. Oh, what about Jesus? Jesus prayed to Almighty God. There's some that want to argue with that. Didn't Jesus? Yes. And all the messengers were noted for praying and for fasting. Jesus prayed for 30 days. He took off his shoes just like we do. He put his head on the ground. Allahu Akbar. Yes. Oh, this religion is beautiful. This is a blessing, dear Muslims. This is a blessing. This religion will save your life. But if you don't want to discipline the appetite, Allah said, no problem. There are many people wish they was out there shaking the booty and doing all this kind of stuff. And they hate coming around and reminding them of their weakness. No! You should be overjoyed that you're Muslim. So we want to invest in business. And this is the way of employing our appetite. And the biggest reward that we can make is employing that appetite. And Almighty God gives us a choice. You take a person's choice from them, and you don't have true religion. So it's a choice. This makes it so beautiful. We all have a choice. And those that see the beauty of it just gravitate toward it. And we mentioned the sun as a symbol. You find the sun, when the sun is shining, the plants, if you have plants in the house, they will lean toward where that sun is shining. All these are signs. When you see the beauty in this religion, when you see how it should discipline the appetite, make you feel complete. Oh, it's beautiful. Just, and Allah is just so, look how the Muslim prays. He don't say, oh, Lord, I want a bread, I want a sandwich. Give me a sandwich, oh, Lord, give me a sandwich, I'm hungry. No! This religion, it says, لا تزوقوا ربنا لا تزوق قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك. Oh, Allah, do not cause me to deviate after you've showed me the right way. Oh, please don't let me go back. This is why. Look, what's it? ربنا لا تزوق قلوبنا بعد هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك. Oh, Allah, let me have success right now. Oh, please, let me have success in this life. And a success in the afterlife, or the future life that's coming after I leave this world. Oh, look how what this is how they think about it. Oh, Lord, please, let me have a sandwich. No, it's not that kind of prayer. This prayer should make you want to be a part. Oh, I want to be a part. I want to go into business. I want to do this for the society, this and that and the other. This is what makes it so beautiful. Oh, it's beautiful. And these are signs of Allah. But because if we don't understand the signs, there are some with in theology it says that Adam ate from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And by eating from this tree, then the curse came upon him. So I don't want to eat from a tree that's got good and evil all mixed up in it anyway. But don't care. Look, it's speaking of something different. It's not saying you can't think that knowledge is something you shouldn't employ. Don't carry that thing so far, and then some people, oh, you ain't supposed to think. That's your knowledge. Well, what other kind of knowledge I'm supposed to use? Dog knowledge? That's your knowledge. In other words, you can't do nothing by yourself. Adam ate from the tree of good and evil. Then the curse came on him. And he inherited the sin. This is crazy. And to put that on your babies, to put that on, and many of us under that influence. And how we know it? By our behavior. Not only here in the West, those across the water. Some come right up, walk down the street here, and they come, some with skin like mine, and some with all kind of colors of skin. Come in and think they should walk right in here and take cake and chow because they speak Arabic. And don't really see the blessing. To come to your brother as a brother or as a sister with common sense. Walk there, brother, where's the imam? Feel like I'm supposed to take over. Because many of us come to the Quran with feelings of inferiority. And not only here, I'm talking about all over the world. Many of the Muslims have gone taboo crazy. That's right. Don't understand what our beloved Prophet Muhammad was saying. And then when a raisin-head one quite to show them that this is not it. Look, don't you know racism? The Prophet Muhammad dealt with racism 14 centuries ago. Said that the Arab is not better than the non-Arab, and the non-Arab is not better than the Arab. Prophet Muhammad, alayhi salatu wa salam, dealt with racism 14 Asian brothers, many of them are weak. Few months from now, they'll be following la 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 and drunk, stumbling over here, knocking everything down. Follow la la la. Yeah, God came down to the world and to save the world from their sins. And then there are Muslims just as crazy as hell and hooked up on that nonsense. Racism is a weakness. It is a weakness. It is a sickness to suggest that Almighty God have children. To suggest that Almighty God come down and God is a little white baby. This stuff, some of us are just out of slavery, less than 200 years, and Ron sitting under these pictures and these icons, and that's God. That's a psychological sickness, and it's a weakness to suggest that the beneficent God need a woman to bring anything about. That's a psychological sickness. And there are people that take on this and they use that. Well, I'm closer to God in psychology than what the Association of Negative Ideas. And I read some of the books that many of these eminent psychologists write. And they write how the sensitivities, you can see something and it can hit the retina and it can shoot up to the thalamus, and then they call it a mental hijacking. That they could just hijack your brain, that sensitivity to hit the retina before it can go to the neocortex for proper evaluation. It can hijack your brain and you go and kill a whole lot of people. I'm going to be like Jesus. I'm going to die. Then they'll see how valuable I am. We don't understand that the psychological sickness and how that affects society. Therefore, there are many who don't like this message of Al-Islam. There are Muslims that got all kind of Arab centrism, and there are Africans that got all kind of centrism, and black, all kind of centrism. To suggest that the beneficent God is a man. Nothing supports that premise. God is too big to put a suit of clothes on it.
That's right.
To make Almighty God black. And this is kind of like the antithesis to that. Well, Willie, you can make him black. We won't have to argue on it. It's been here so long. And I tell you what, you make him black. It's good, make him black. Put him in your places of worship. Make him black. Look, it's a sickness. And many people that come into proper worship, especially my European brothers, when they come into worship, they go to atheism, or they go to agnosticism. They know what it was yesterday. You read what happened historically. It was in darkness. When this Quran came about, it was a light to the world. Man had a renewed sense of himself. He didn't want to go back to the concept of the divine right of kings and popes and all this kind of stuff. But what did he do? He didn't want to accept the message totally. He came back and he began to strip his cargo. These slaves, he began to strip them of their human essence. Rather than to take the message totally and completely. See, a lot of people are dazzled with what we see, but we don't see the mess of it. The destruction of the health, the destruction of the family, the destruction of your peace of mind. So this discipline of the appetite, dear Muslims, this religion is designed to discipline the appetite. And it's designed to bring a change about in your very existence. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار آمين. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Dear beloved Muslims, we say in conclusion of this khutbah, the discipline of the appetite. When Almighty God created creation, He gave you a job. Never say you don't have a job.
Yes, sir.
Never say you don't have a job. Because creation is your job. And the first job is you. When you wake up in the morning and wash your body, that's your job. Neglect your job. You're going to start looking around. No, that's you. Smell it. You're going to be looking around. Who's that around? Yeah, that's you. Because you fell out on your job. When you go to bed at night and floss your teeth, because you want, this is the medium that you use. And we only have, this medium is going back to the earth. It's going back. It's on alone. Going back. But you got a job. And if we would just reflect on the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a lot of these old long faces, look, hey, you be happy, I got a job. Even if anybody can't pay me, I'm going to do it for free. Hey, give me some of those Muslim germs. Hey, babe, let me see if I can sell some of them or whatever. Yeah, give a gift. Hey, I got a job. Just with the feeling, just with the attitude. See, many of us got small minds and got real big appetites, but we don't see the reality of our situation. So, we have to understand. And it was that woman who supported us when we were in slavery days. She was our biggest supporter for us as men, to be men in slavery days. And now that we are free, she's still our biggest supporter. That woman. And that woman, she just want a man in the bed with her. She don't want a boy, she don't want a child, she want a man. Somebody who can pay the bills. She gets real angry when the brother can't pay the bills and take care of what he's supposed to take care of. That's why she acts that way.
That's right.
She's real peaceful when you can make her feel comfortable. Provide a nice house for her. Give her some of the amenities of life, and plus follow Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The problems come in at when many of us with these big appetites and small minds. When we want to come with a bigger mind, to go along with these big appetites, we have to come to Al-Islam genuinely. And Allah will bless us. Even more, because the blessings are already here. We can't even really number the blessings that Almighty God has already given us. We can't number them. But we understand we have, as human beings, we have certain responsibilities to discipline our appetites. There are many presidents, and I'm not calling no names, there are many high officials that can't get the job because they can't discipline their sexual appetites. And we know this society here, when old master would have problems in his house, he'll go and kick the dog, kick the slave, kick somebody that's relative, that's labeled inferior. Go and kick them. When something happened in his household, he gets raped, he'll go and accuse one another. Yeah, let's accuse him of rape. It's like they have, in ancient days, they used to have the goat. They put the red ribbons on the goat and slaughter the goat. Put all the evil on that goat. Slaughter the goat and have a big feast, and then the whole neighborhood feel good. But they would do the same thing about a person. Hey, let's take him. Let's take that black one over there. Let's tar and feather him. And then the whole neighborhood feels good. Well, they do that kind of stuff today on a different level, a highly sophisticated level. And because of our inactivity, or many of us, because of our inactivity, our inability, or lack of desire to even employ our own appetite. We should want something for ourselves. It should hurt us to go into a store. You go into a party, you got $500 worth of clothes on your back, you're driving a car, a vehicle that costs more than the house your grandma would stay in, but you still don't have no dignity. You just feel angry. Because you know all this money, we should do something for ourselves. We should build some buildings. We should have some housing complexes coming up. We should have some business, some stores with clean sophistication. You find some of the people that just lost all hope. Walking around there, everybody walking up there, the family, the mama receiving stolen goods, the son walking in, everybody got a beer in their hand and they're just hopeless and everything. And then you say, ain't nothing wrong? For a Muslim, you should say, Allahu Akbar. Oh, Yallah. I feel good. Let us do something. And I sure feel good when I'm in the company of Muslims. I love you because I know you're not breaking into my house. You don't want to knock me in the head. And you love Allah. I just love to be in your presence. This is the way you feel. Go somewhere and start undermining each other. Want to get slick. Why not you not right? I said down there, and then you just all artificial. And then being blessed with a leader like Imam Washington Muhammad. One travels and is so peaceful and has done so much with us, given up so much of himself. And we just calm and we don't want to get our collective thoughts together and don't want to get our resources together and go to mumbling and humming. And sometimes a speaker come up here and talk and you just hear people go like a sound of like a bunch of quail. And we know this is not the proper thing to do. We'll never get blessed with that. So dear beloved Muslims, let us enter into this Ramadan with the idea of disciplining our appetites and be aware that many things happening in the world today. You know, I never heard Ramadan mentioned so much rather recently. It's really ironic. We know Allah, we don't know the outcome, but we know Allah, we know who's in control of this creation. We know who's in control. And they get on the media and they're saying all kinds of things I wouldn't even repeat. You know, and they just talk Ramadan. They mention Ramadan, right? And now, see, that should tell you something. Only yesterday, everybody you come in contact play like they didn't know. Right. Yeah. Keep talking, because they talking, and then you say, what? Play like you couldn't even pronounce it. Ramadan. Ramadan, they tell you when it's coming. Yeah. Everything about it. Ramadan. Now they're going into the books. They know some of the greatest battles have been fought in the month of Ramadan. How did some of these greatest battles fought when those people are hungry? Some of the greatest battles were fought during the month of Ramadan. The greatest battles. We don't know how this is going to unfold. And then all those that have been misrepresenting the religion. You know, Saddam Hussein in that Baptist thing and this and that and the other, you got a lot of Arab centrism and it's not coming into the Quran. Because many of the things are coming to focus now. People are saying, well, this group here, they fought 8 years or better. Millions of lives were lost in the war between Muslims. Mm-hmm. What is that? Whoa, what? Now they're looking, where can we find out what's happening? They should call Imam Washington Muhammad and find out. That's right. They should call him, put him on the TED Couple, interface somebody that can tell you some direction of what's happening in the world. That's who they should call up. Imam Washington Muhammad. TED Couple, and we should write him. Yeah, you want to find out what's happening in the world? Call up Imam Washington Muhammad. They said it the last time when the hostages in Iran, they said they should have called that man over there in Chicago. They should have asked him what was going on over there in Iran. Now, don't lose your chance now. Call the one who can give you some direction of what's going on in the world. Amen.